Okay, you ready to get started?
Ready.
So we'll practice, this will be short, this will be practicing and unpacking a little bit of twisting action for Marichyasana I and Marichyasana III. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so that you are notified when the new videos are uploaded. Now let's get started. So Juan Carlos, you sit facing forward.
Yes.
Yeah. So first coming into Dandasana. So with the hands pressing down, the thighs pressing down, the legs are active, and then bringing the sacrum into the body, moving the chest forward. So Dandasana is not just shoulders above the hips, but moving the sacrum forward, moving the shoulder blades in and lifting the chest. If when you're doing this and your hands are on the floor in Dandasana, you're getting a little bit of your lower back moving toward the wall like this, your abdomen is moving toward the lumbar, then you can take a little bit of height and sit on that height. So he can sit on this blanket. You can have a blanket, you can have a block. And just experience for yourself. Be curious, see what happens when you do each of those. So see if you have more freedom and ability to lift there. So pressing with the fingertips down, lifting up. Okay, so the first pose is Marichyasana I. All right, so you'll bend your right leg first. When you bring your foot in, bring it close into the hip, the sitting bone where the blanket is. And with this leg, you want to keep the thigh in a straight position. So from the outer knee to the outer hip is moving down. So you can feel the weight on this hip, feeling the weight on the left hip as well. So this is an open twist just to begin with. Marichyasana III will be a closed twist. So first he'll lift up the right arm and get maximum space that he can, because he wants to turn this whole side of the body from the waist, from the upper shoulder girdle, and then bring the arm on the inside. That's it. And with the backhand, he can walk the backhand back. So here you're getting some space through the chest. Collarbones are wide. Rotating this arm, this back arm from the inner arm to the outer arm to get that shoulder to move back. Shoulder blade moving forward. And as he's doing that, he's pressing against the leg, and the leg is pressing against the arm to start to move this whole shoulder forward, to start to move the whole back from the center of the spine, moving to the right. So that lift is important, lifting from the pubic bone up through the front chest, up through the sternum, keeping the head nice and lifted, shoulders moving away. So again, this is the action with the shoulders moving down that we worked on with the shoulder jacket in one of the other classes that I brought you. Okay, now just the last thing, this leg, this extension coming from the hip to the heel, stay right on the center of the heel. Keep that thigh descending down as you use that resistance of the bent knee side to lift up more. Okay, release. Straighten both legs, Dandasana. And then just come back into Dandasana, full length through the spine. Extend the legs, descend the thighs, and bend your left knee now. So bringing that foot in, good. Just bringing that backhand back, rotate, but first lift up. Lift up as high as you can and come forward. Right. So he's quite open, and he can bring the side of his trunk all the way here to this thigh. For some of you, you might not be able to go that far. You might just bring the elbow here. That's okay. Just whatever you can do. But first reaching up, first extending forward, and if that's as far as you go, then you just use that connection. Create that resistance by the knee and the thigh moving in, and then start to create more space by walking that backhand back, collarbones wide, reaching right up through the fingers, lengthening the head. Tailbone is moving down. Keep this foot pressing down. So this is an active foot. You're on the foot like you are in Tadasana. So standing on the inner and outer edge of the foot, the ball of the foot, the heel of the foot, and then draw this knee down toward the hip to keep this lifted. And as you create that resistance, bring that shoulder blade and that whole upper shoulder girdle toward the left. So in twisting, we're always lengthening with our inhalation, and then we're turning on the exhalation. So important point, inhale, lengthen up, exhale, turn. Whatever you gain in that twist, you keep it, you hold it, and then you inhale again and exhale, turn. So it's a bit of an active pose, even though you think that you get into it and you stay. There's still a little bit of movement that you can make to get that opening and that connection from the back to open through the front of the chest. Okay, Dandasana. Good. Now, if you found one blanket wasn't enough, you can sit on a block. If you don't need the blanket, then you can take the blanket away. But I would encourage you to use the blanket or a block, just so that you have some height. Encourage you to be curious and see how it is with the prop, without the prop. Of course, if you don't have any blocks at home, you can use a book, you can use something a little bit, but it needs to be hard. If you're using, if you're using a blanket, it's not so hard either, but just have enough height that these blankets are not soft blankets. They're dense blankets, so it's not like a fuzzy blanket that you curl up with in front of the fireplace. You could, but it's a yoga blanket, so it's firm and it's dense. Okay, so now Marichyasana III, he's going to take your hands back, Dandasana. And here he'll bend the right knee again. Bring the foot in, stand fully on that foot. The outer knee is moving down to the outer hip, and then lift up through the side trunk. So he's reaching up with the opposite arm this time. So before we opened and we turned toward the straight leg. Here, keeping that leg grounded, he's going to come lengthen. He can even lean over a little bit. See if you can get that turn of that back body and bring the side trunk a little bit lower. And now he's hooking the arm, coming as low as he can. And once he has, he's going to press that arm down. Right? Good. And then the fingers move up toward the ceiling. Roll the shoulder back. So stabilize yourself. You can see what's happening to this leg. This thigh is turning out. That's a natural tendency. So keeping this leg actively rolling from the outer leg to the inner leg. You stay on the heel. So this is helping you to create that action. So from the center of your spine, lifting up, lengthening, exhale, turn. So taking the breath first lower. So you're turning through the abdomen, you're twisting. This is great for the liver and the spleen, especially if the liver is sluggish. So if you don't know if the liver is sluggish, start doing some twists and see the effects. So the abdominal area is turning and twisting. We call this rinsing action. So you're turning like a rag. You are rinsing a rag out. And as you do that, there's not much blood flow that moves into this area. It stays twisted. And then as you release, then that blood flow comes and there's some flushing out. So that's why if you have some sluggishness there, that will start to remove and create flow for those toxins. Okay, and then coming back, Dandasana. So in Dandasana, bring the outer toes back, press through the ball of the foot, connect the big toes, the heels. See that your kneecaps are lifted, drawing into the knee socket, and the inner thighs are moving down. Inner knees are moving down. So if you look at your knees, you might see that one knee naturally goes out. So in order to get the knee right in the middle, you have to lift it and see, can you bring evenness to the knees? All right, so the shin bone and the thigh bone are connected by the knee socket. So it's important that you have healthy knees and the muscles around the knees are working properly. Okay, so now we do the other side. Bringing that foot in. Reaching up, lengthening, trying to come as low as possible by working it, that's it. And then press the arm and the knee against one another and lift the chest more. Come back onto that right hip more, turning that thigh in, lifting the chest. Okay, so he's got quite large shoulders. He's a strong guy. I'm going to ask him to sit up on one more blanket and see if we notice a difference in that lift he's going to be able to get and that openness into his shoulders. I think you've had a few shoulder injuries, right? Yeah. So don't hesitate to take more height. It will only help in your healing and getting the movement into that area. Do you want to block?
Maybe a block for the hand.
So because we've built him up on two blankets, he's sitting higher now. So his hand might not reach back. And we want that backhand to reach back and be a source of support. So this backhand is going to help to lift up through the side trunk. So you take something behind you. And then he can press that hand and lift up. And now maybe he can start to descend the shoulders more. Right, releasing the shoulders down. So you can see that twisting action that he's getting. You can see the shirts. By lengthening up with the inhalation, you can see his back is nice and expanded here. So he's got more availability. He has more sensitivity in the back. Keeping that foot straight. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. Now, if you have any kind of neck injury, you can turn the head toward this front arm, which would be more relaxing for the neck. Okay, and release. Come back to Dandasana. Smiling.
Thank you.
Twistings are nice. Twistings are energizing and relaxing at the same time. So enjoy your practice.
Enjoy.